first of all, thank you for accepting, Mikel, for being with us.
Thank you.
Yes.
It's an honor.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's our space in Eoh-lution for having this conversation with very interesting people that are key players in the innovation ecosystem, and we think you are one.
Thank you also for the efforts you take in investigating this topic, which to my mind and my colleagues is key for the future.
Yeah. So, and now I'll give you the floor so that you introduce yourself with your words, who you are, what institution you represent, and give us a little bit of the context of what you are doing in the last years.
In a nutshell, I am Mikel Landabaso. I have a PhD and a couple of masters in the in the area of economic development, with an emphasis on regional economics and an interest on innovation policy. I always had this sensitivity towards the union, and I wanted to join in to make Spain, Euskadi, part of this project as a means to modernize, to adopt the social market model, the liberties, the democracy, the prosperity, and the equity that goes with it. I've been in this topic for the last 30 plus years, actually, because I continued my career in regional policy in several positions and areas, but always linked to experimentation, innovation policy, pilot projects. I took responsibility on the unit responsible for the structural funds, cohesion policy for Spain, that allowed me to travel the country and meet with most of the regions, presidents of regions in Spain, and be able to see how, well, theory and money was spent in reality on the ground. The limitations, the constraints, and the opportunities of seeing how policies operate in the field. I moved into my current position, which is the head of fair and sustainable economy at the Joint Research Center and director for the site of Seville, which basically means that I am responsible for the site in Seville with 8 directorates, 400 people and 30 nationalities. On the one hand, as site director, and on the other, I'm the director for establishing the research direction and the management of the resources that comprise 7 units in 3 countries with approximately 300, mainly economists, but not only, dealing with the science and the evidence that is fed to the European Commission for decisions in this field.
Wow, that's a trajectory. It's very coherent, and also in something that we are very much interested in the long-term vision, and also the multi-level approach. So from the local level to the more European or global level. What do you think are the main needs that can trigger or should trigger an innovation policy?
Innovation is at the heart of the economic logic. Creative distraction, as Schumpeter put it, or the shortest definition of innovation that I know, which is profitable change, is really a means to evolve in the right direction by making the economy modernize and diversify to the benefit of the social model that you want to protect and promote and improve. A very good example of this is a recent one, is the Draghi report. Draghi is saying basically his narrative is, listen, I am proposing a new industrial strategy for Europe. In order to do that, I need to increase productivity through innovation. Innovation is at the heart of this move, this vision, but the end result of the vision is that we are doing all that precisely to protect the fundamental values of the model that we are trying to develop. The European model based on these values linked to democracy, equity, or social inclusion, and a social market model which makes Europe on the Union, with all its problems, the best place in the world to, if you were to choose where to have your kids. And this is the fundamental issue. Innovation as a means to improve an economy that provides for a better society.
So you are talking about a vision which is utopian in a way, because it's not so easy to find these fundamentals and the shared vision for all of us as Europeans to move in the same direction. We are very diverse. We have the Eurosceptical people, and this is especially why the Draghi report is so important at this moment, saying, listen, if we don't agree on where do we want to be and how we are going to go in the coming years, we are in danger. How can we do this?
Three key things came to my mind to start responding that. The first one is that when you talk about the populists resisting innovation, resisting Europe, and resisting science and evidence, what we call being driven by what we call the confirmation bias. So you have a prejudice, and then you only listen to those evidence, numbers, or people that can confirm your prejudice. I think the basis of this resistance is fear and insecurity, is resentment in some cases, and is ignorance. It's people that feel that the world is going too fast for them, that there are not enough opportunities for them, they're being left behind. And innovation is the opposite. Innovation is really, jumping over the fence. I think one of the best things I've heard about innovation is expresses the difficulty that it encompasses, encapsulates as an innovator is Machiavello. Machiavello says something that the innovator is by himself. He's alone or she is alone. Because it has in front of him or her all those that will lose their footing, their privileges, their status if he wins. Because the innovator is going to change the market. And we can talk about the IBEX 35 incumbents, or you can take about workers that need to be reskilled or change jobs. So you have in front of you the status quo, the people that profit from the current situation, opposing you directly. And you only have the lukewarm support that is very weak, tiny, small support of those that will win if your innovation gets through.
Yeah.
And then innovation is fun because it's risky, and you have all these crazy people around you that believe that things should move in and are ready to put their support to find new avenues. And the third thing is that innovation is never the fruit of a single hero or a surfer in a San Francisco garage has a bright idea. But most of the time in the economy and in society, innovation is the result of cooperation. And this is why, at least I have become convinced that the motto should be something like cooperate locally and regionally to compete internationally, because it's only through cooperation that you will get the innovations that will make you more competitive.
It was a very big one because we are challenged by big problems, and then the responses have to be also
Courageous or bold.
Yeah. And what you were describing is this tension between cooperation and competition that is very much embedded in competitiveness, and how we make our idea. And I think what we are trying to put together is this new idea of cooperation that help each other. So you can come to a living lab or to an ecosystem with your own idea, and you will sit down on a table. And the question there is, what should happen when you are there? That you find the trust and also the comfortable zone for saying what you can say about your idea without being threatened that this idea will be stolen, for example. This is something that is this cooperation, competition thing. And how do you do this in a manner that you build the trust for everybody to find this win-win situation, even when people are getting their own thing, but are also bringing something for the community, so for the common goods?
I think this is one of the keys to make efficient innovation ecosystems. Let me try to explain. If you look, I mean, it has been formalized to some extent in the literature on clusters. The notion of co-petition, cooperation and competition happening at the same time. And you have living examples. When you go to the district of Manzano in northern Italy, when you have the concentration of production of chairs in Europe, or you go to shoemaking in Alicante, you see all these firms that collaborate and compete. They collaborate by buying maybe jointly raw materials, sharing training for the skill pool, the human resources pool they draw. They pollinize each other by people moving from one to the other. They join forces in penetrating new markets, market segments. At the same time, they compete sometimes in similar markets, in the same market through their own design, capacities, entrepreneurial savvy, and all that. So you have the best of these two worlds. The second thing related to what you're saying and based on the above, if you want, is that you need the necessary skills as moderators or gatekeepers. And these moderators are the ones that can illustrate, make evident how these public goods can operate to the benefit of all those involved and convince the people to join forces and build these interdependencies, these links among the different stakeholders in an innovation system. Financial sector, the business angels, the venture capitalists, the universities, the technology centers, the firms, the firm associations, the public sector, the local authorities, the training centers, the employees, the entrepreneurs, the incubators, the technology transfer centers, all those elements, right?
Yeah.
And the consultants. So what we did in the past, and it's been a long way over the more than 30 years since we started with regional innovation strategies, 8 of them in 1994, is that I was becoming more and more aware that the difficulty lied on institutions. Meaning, if you wanted a successful regional innovation strategy, you needed an ad hoc institution. Because also you find in some advanced regions that there is this over institutionalization or high institutionalization creates tensions between different public institutions, unhealthy competition that blurs the effort.
Yeah.
So I always propose starting by the institutional setup with a new steering committee, executive, manageable, balanced between the private and the public, and if possible with the private sector leading, because this is the only way the private sector will start listening to you. And then a very executive, small unit that would deal with the institutions, will deal with consultants, will deal with clusters and seminars on topics or sectors or technologies that are necessary to identify opportunities. A good innovation strategy should be 3 pages.
Wow, that's
But
very brief, huh?
yeah, and the fourth and fifth, it will be an annex list of flagship projects.
we have developed many instances that keep the status quo in a manner that we are not moving the wheel into the right direction, because we have to keep everybody happy.
I fully agree.
Yes.
I think Acemoglu just got the Nobel Prize, as you said. I think extremely interesting that at the end of the day, he comes with a conclusion. It's about the institutions, stupid. And deep down, it's about civic participation or democratic participation with full information, of course, and awareness. And
how do we cultivate an entrepreneurial culture in our society? We have lost most of this culture. Here in the Basque Country, we have a big amount of young people that want to be civil servants. And when you talk to them, they say, I want to have an easy life. I don't want to win a lot of money, but I want to have an easy life without working much. How do we do it if we don't have these people in our society at the moment?
Tonya, I think that we do. I think young people, well, probably this is the generation that has the best education in history, the most connected one, the most technology savvy, the most. But of course, I mean, 2 out of 3 people in Spain, I suppose in Euskadi is similar, under 32 live with their parents. They have no chance of buying a new house because you look at the statistics, and this is not their fault. It's our fault.
Yeah.
It's our generation's fault.
Intergenerational solidarity.
Yeah. And then you see, I think pensions is 42% in the GDP or something like that. This means that they will be paying, and in 2040 there will be 2 people for each retired person, unlike today, which is 3 to 1. They will be paying for us. We've managed to buy our houses, secure a nice pension. Insufficient, but compared to what they really have to face, well, this is one issue. Okay, there is the issue also of motivation that you might be right in certain people are simply saying, I want comfy, I have other expectations, probably because we are also an affluent society, or because they think that they will never reach the level their parents did, or their parents are, I say, well, I have expectations, I'll never get there, so I better choose other things or something. But there is a fair amount of people which are bright, like to start new things and all that, and we don't make it easy for them. I mean, we've made a study recently on the fiscal aspects. No, it's the first one of its kind in Europe, really, looking at the business taxes in comparing countries through the only model that exists that can do that, which is Euromod. We have it here. And it shows, for example, that in Spain, taxes for a startup are higher, effective taxes, than for an incumbent of the IBEX 35. It is mind-blowing. They pay more taxes than the IBEX 35 in relative terms, of course, of size and volume. So we got it completely wrong. The tax system is not progressive at all with respect to the size of the company. To start a new company, you have to be crazy. It's bureaucratic in terms of taxes, in terms of regulations, in terms of time spent, in terms of everything that someone with a bright idea doesn't need to know. We make it so difficult. So, I mean, you have to be extremely courageous to start a business. And if you look at the evolution of the economy, you will see that the wages are losing and losing and losing ground. And thanks to, in inverted commas, thanks, if you wish, to technology and globalization, we will be all somehow soon independent workers. Okay? So there will be the need to be an entrepreneur of your skills or working time to sell it in a very, very liquid labor market in a way. And this also means that all these people that could be starting new businesses and refreshing the economy. The thing in a country that wants to modernize and is really about making it easier for those entrepreneurs independently of the how rich their parents are. Startups could be a very good way of having social mobility. Is to some extent the case in the US more than here for many reasons. But in Spain, to shake up the system, to change the balance of power, to be disruptive and innovative, to change the economy and modernize it, you need that. We should listen to those with ideas. We need to generate the incubators, the accompanying measures that makes it easier for them, the venture capital.
Yeah.
I don't know. This is what
No,
I
if
think.
not, if not, it's not feasible. And that's why this entrepreneurial culture that we need to build up, it's something that is very, very urgent.
But today, I mean, you want to start a business, you have three sources. The one you said, the three F's: friends, fools, and family. Mm. The second one is the banks. And as Draghi put it, banks are not the best in assessing innovation because innovation is long term, based on intangibles, high risk with people that don't have a collateral. The third one is the public sector, which could be. And there are lots and lots of money earmarked for startups and venture capital, financial engineering, in the structural funds, in cohesion policy. I know it very well. Very, very bureaucratic, difficult, and all the rest, but exists. But then the public sector takes so long, is so complicated, is playing so safe because of the auditors, because covering themselves first, that it doesn't coincide with the timelines and the needs in size, in calendar of the entrepreneur. So it's a wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, then the only thing you can hope for is a liquid, deep capital market that is absent in Europe. You know that European families have a much higher saving rate than American families. You know, these savings are not used for investment in companies. Most of it is channeled to the US to fund new companies because they have the markets that can give the returns. The same goes with pension funds, with the exception of probably Sweden, Denmark, Netherlands. So we got it wrong. We don't have an internal capital market which is deep and wide and liquid enough to support entrepreneurship the way it should be. And you have the result that many, well, one third of all the unicorns generated in Europe go back to the state or go to the States. Many of the startups move to the States, and because also national or regional markets are very small, you need to have a scale.
And we are still struggling to build it up. Yeah, you are tackling many issues. That is linked with my last question about how to build this new generation of quadruped, quintuple, and helix living labs and ecosystems that help us to build this in a smaller scale, building up to a wider scale, and in the right rhythm, because we cannot be now 20 years or 50 years to build it up. We need to speed up the way of working in innovation in Europe to make it sustainable for our vision and to protect this well-being and welfare that we have.
We are working on this, as you know, with this new methodology and the new tools to elaborate innovation policies in Europe that can do exactly that. But there are two phases. One is to develop the design, the blueprint of what needs to be done. And the second phase is when you have the blueprint, the design, the idea, to fund it, to become a market reality. Innovation, everybody talks about it and always insists, first let's define it. Organizational, research, finance, skills, all those combined to promote innovation. So you have two phases. One is to design, the other one is to roll out and implement. For the second one, you need funding, public, to catalyze private normally. For the first one, you need ideas and people eager to share, collaborate, as we said, the fruits of an ecosystem. The helix is for propulsion, for moving forward. is people that are around the table not to cut the cake and see what's in there for me, people that are around the table with others different from them to decide how to make the cake bigger. This is a different rationale. People that are properly selected and willing to collaborate so that they fit like a mosaic the wider picture as essential elements that complements others, the entrepreneurs, the technology centers, all these stakeholders that we talked about, the university. We insist very much that the university has to play a different role. Civic universities, the third role, contributing to economic development where they are placed. But for all of that, Tony, you need once again these famous moderators and gatekeepers, people that facilitate the building of bridges and fruitful, collaborative, win-win interactions among the different helix members. Okay. And people that are capable of establishing a language that everybody shares because we have different languages.
Among the different generations, among the different helices, among the different actors. And I always talk about these different languages. And what you are saying is very interesting to me because that was my intuition, just to train these new profiles of, I call agents of change. Now I have started to listen about these boundary spanners.
Yes.
These people that are able to translate the interest of the different parties into something that can become win-win for everyone. And I love your metaphor of this being in the table, not to share the cake or to make the cake in pieces, but to make the cake bigger and more appealing for other people to join the table.
Mm-hmm.
That's especially what we are meant to be in Eoh-for-Good, just to be trainers of these people. And let's see if we have more and more of these agents of change. We need these people.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
You are at the forefront of, I think, what I consider to be the most salient need of these methodologies to build new innovation policies that work. What we are going to do is a process of learning and co-creation with the regions. We are not going to tell them what to do. We are past the phase of diagnostic with hard economic tools and explaining with numbers the situation. Now we need to move into something which is messy. There are no clear recipes, which has to happen in the field, bridging the gap between theory and praxis, where the public sector should take risks, where the public sector needs to understand how to incentivize through these gatekeepers, moderators, or boundary spanners, their interactions with the private sector in order to be effective in terms of innovation policies. And this is what we are going to do with this new initiative that is being paid by the European Parliament for the next 2 years. We will be telling them what we know from the research field. They will be telling us what they know from their experience in the field and politics field. And together we'll make a synthesis that is useful for all the regions that want to build innovation strategies that work.
Well, that's something new. That's experimentation with innovation policies, co-creation. Maybe this can be scaled up in the coming years. So I wish you the very, very, very best for the initiative.
Thank you.
And I hope there are a number of regions that are courageous to take this challenge and to move it forward. So
thank you, Tony.
Yeah. So I'll ask you a couple of questions. One question: what do you think digital social innovation can help us in the coming years?
I believe in social innovation. Digital social innovation is making social innovation stronger, wider, but also limited probably by the lack of personal direct proximity. So all for it is a means to innovate.
Okay. And the last question: how can we build a very effective innovation ecosystem?
By taking risks, by leading this process of interaction amongst the different stakeholders with an open mind, humility, and the capacity to mediate across them.
Okay, that was very clear answer, Mikel. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony, and all the best for the future with your efforts.